We've kind of fallen in love with the idea that everything meaningful in life has to come from pushing harder, trying longer, and disciplining ourselves into becoming someone new. It sounds noble, right? Like if we just stay consistent enough, if we just keep showing up no matter what, eventually things will shift. And yes, on the surface it can look that way. Effort leads to results, results create proof, and that proof slowly convinces us that maybe we can think and feel differently about our lives. But here's the thing that often gets overlooked. That path, the one built on effort and discipline alone, is actually the long way around. It is familiar, it feels safe because it is what we have been taught. But it is not the only way. You are not required to struggle your way into a new reality. There is a more direct path, and it begins at the source. Instead of trying to force new actions, you can gently turn inward and explore the beliefs that are shaping everything in the first place. Why do you react the way you do? Why do certain thoughts keep repeating? Why do certain feelings feel so automatic? When you begin to look at your beliefs with curiosity instead of pressure, you start to uncover the roots of your entire experience. And something beautiful happens there. When a belief shifts, even slightly, your actions begin to change without force, your thoughts feel lighter, your emotions become more fluid. And your experience starts to evolve in a way that feels natural rather than exhausting. It is not about becoming someone else through effort, it is about seeing clearly what has been guiding you all along. This can feel a little counterintuitive, especially because so much of what we see around us celebrates hustle, discipline, and constant self-improvement. There is a whole world built on the idea that you need to push yourself harder to become worthy of the life you want. And when you are surrounded by that message, it is easy to believe it must be true. But in reality, what we experience is always reflecting what we already believe. Life responds to us like a mirror, gently echoing back the assumptions we hold about ourselves, about others, and about what is possible. That is why it can sometimes feel like you are stuck in a loop, seeing the same patterns again and again. Your beliefs have a quiet magnetic quality. They draw your attention toward things that confirm them, highlight evidence that supports them, and filter out anything that does not match. So without even realizing it, you begin to notice, interpret, and remember the parts of reality that align with what you already expect to be true. And once you start to see this, you also begin to realize something empowering. If your experience has been shaped this way all along, then shifting it might be less about doing more, and more about seeing differently. Which is exactly where the next part begins. Even though there is always more information available, more perspectives, more possibilities quietly existing all around you, it is surprisingly easy to filter them out. If something does not match what you already believe, you tend to dismiss it without even noticing. You overlook it, not because it is not there, but because it does not fit into the story your mind is used to telling. And that is why taking an honest look at your own experience can be so powerful. When you slow down and really observe your reality without immediately judging it, you start to notice small openings. You begin to see moments that do not fully align with your usual beliefs, little hints that there is more available to you than you once assumed. Those moments are not exceptions, they are invitations. If this is resonating with you, I would really love to hear your perspective. What is one belief you are starting to question right now? You can share it in the comments, and if you want to keep exploring this kind of inner work together, you are always welcome to subscribe and stay connected. This also softens the idea that your beliefs are hidden somewhere deep and unreachable. They are not locked away in some distant corner of your mind. In a very real sense, your day-to-day experience is your belief system expressed outward. The way you interpret things, the patterns you notice, the emotional reactions that arise, all of it reflects what you already hold to be true. So instead of digging endlessly for something buried, you can start by gently examining what is already in front of you. Your thoughts, your reactions, your assumptions about what things mean. When you look at them with neutrality and honesty, they begin to reveal the structure behind them. Of course, this is not always easy. You are so familiar with your own perspective that it can feel invisible. The way you see the world feels natural, obvious, almost unquestionable. And because of that, your attention keeps returning to the same kinds of evidence, reinforcing what you already believe. Sometimes it helps to have someone else reflect things back to you, to point out patterns you might not notice on your own. Not because they can see something hidden, but because they are not looking through the exact same lens. Still, the truth is that nothing is actually out of reach. If you are willing to be sincere with yourself, if you are open and curious instead of defensive, everything you need to understand is already present. It is not about looking somewhere new, it is about learning to look in a different way. A softer way, a more spacious way, one that allows you to question what once felt fixed. And once you begin to shift how you are looking, it naturally leads into a clearer structure for understanding all of this, which is where this next idea starts to unfold. This is exactly where a simple structure can bring a lot of clarity. You can think of it as 3 connected layers: identity, alignment, and manifestation. Each one flows naturally into the next, and it all begins with how you see yourself. At the core of every belief you hold, there is a quiet statement about who you think you are. It shows up in subtle ways throughout your day. I am this kind of person. I am good at this. I am not capable of that. I am lucky, or maybe not so lucky. These inner definitions might seem small, but they shape your entire self-concept, and from that place, they begin to guide your experience of life. What is interesting is that these ideas about yourself are not fixed truths. They are learned, repeated, and reinforced over time. And yet beyond all of them, there is a deeper part of you that is not limited by any label. A more spacious awareness, something steady and open, the part of you that notices, creates, and experiences all of it. When you begin to reconnect with that deeper sense of self, something shifts. You are no longer trying to force change from the outside. Instead, you start to recognize that you have a say in what you choose to believe, and in how you relate to your own identity. From that recognition, a vision naturally begins to form. Not a forced goal, but a genuine sense of what you are drawn toward, what feels true and meaningful to you. This is where alignment gently comes in. It is not about perfection, and it is not about controlling every thought. It is about bringing your beliefs, your thoughts, and your emotions into harmony with that vision. As that happens, your actions begin to follow without strain. Your habits start to support the version of you that already feels real on the inside. And then, almost as a natural outcome, manifestation unfolds, not as something you chase, but as something that reflects the coherence within you. The external begins to mirror the internal in a more consistent and supportive way. At that stage, the only real work left is soft and honest. It is about noticing the old beliefs that still linger in the background. The ones that no longer match who you are becoming, not fighting them, not judging them, just seeing them clearly and allowing them to loosen their grip. And as you continue moving through this process, identity shaping alignment, alignment shaping experience, you start to feel that everything is becoming more connected, more intentional, and somehow, a little more like you. Those old patterns can still show up from time to time. They switch on and off almost automatically, simply because they have been practiced for so long. They feel familiar, almost like a default setting, but their presence does not mean they are permanent, and it definitely does not mean you have to fight them. Letting them go is much more natural than it might seem. It does not come from pushing harder or trying to control every thought, it comes from understanding. When you take the time to really see a belief clearly, where it came from, why you adopted it, and why it has stayed with you, something begins to loosen. The moment you recognize that it is not an absolute truth, just a pattern you once learned, it starts to lose its weight. You begin to realize that these beliefs are not who you are. They never defined you, they only shaped how you were seeing yourself for a while. And once you see through them, they no longer have the same influence over your choices or your direction. From there you can gently start to experiment. You can lean into that deeper sense of who you really are and allow a vision to come through, something that feels aligned and genuine rather than forced. Then step by step, you begin to live in a way that reflects that vision, not perfectly, but honestly. As you do that, you might notice those old beliefs appearing again, but this time in the light. No longer hidden, no longer unquestioned. And in seeing them clearly, you finally have the space to let them go for good. What remains is a sense of freedom that feels simple and grounded. You are no longer trying to become someone else. You are allowing yourself to live as you are, aligned with what feels true at a deeper level. From that place, creating the life you want becomes less about effort and more about expression. It starts to feel direct, almost effortless, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is moving together. Your inner world and your outer experience begin to reflect each other in a more harmonious way. And when you really let that sink in, you might begin to sense just how much creative power has always been available to you. Not as something distant or extraordinary, but as something quiet, present, and deeply yours, waiting to be recognized. To go deeper into this process, I created a free self-inquiry workbook for you. It will gently guide you through uncovering your own beliefs and shifting them from within. You can find the link in the description and start whenever it feels right for you.